Hello, so in this tutorial I'll teach you how to create full back office admin application to manage a database diagram. So you can give to your users so they can manage the correspondent metadata of that tables diagram. So in the previous tutorial we did something similar. The difference is that in this tutorial we will do that back office with authentication. So first of all, let's log in our framework, choosing the workspace and the correspondent projects, and as you can see we have empty blank projects. So first thing to do is to see our tables diagram. It's the same diagram that we have been using in the other tutorials with the school, teacher and student tables. Very straightforward. We can see that these tables already have some metadata fields. As you can see, we have 3 schools, we have a bunch of students for each individual schools and a bunch of teachers too, the same thing. So next step, what we want to do. So based in that diagram we want to create the business logic services. So we just do this automatically as I teach you in the previous tutorials. So I'll just do this action very fast, and automatically already have here the correspondent services for each individual table that I selected, and it's done. Okay, note that currently the business logic layer is connecting with the database directly. If you wanted to have a data access layer in between, what you needed to do is you needed to go to the correspondent data access layer, creating the objects, or in this case the rules, automatically, the same way that I'm doing now. As you can see, it creates automatically the rules, and then when you were creating here the business logic services, instead of selecting DB data as we did before, you needed to select the correspondent data access layer, which will be in here, the yarn, and then select the correspondent files and do the override, so you could overwrite these files here. We can do this now. Okay, and it's done. It created already automatically this correspondent services, but talking with this layer here, it is exactly the same thing. This is just an example. Okay, after you have the business logic services created, we can go back to the presentation layer, and next step that we want to do is to install a template. So let's go to our store and let's install this guy here, the Bootstrap Automatic Admin. Is downloading and installing. We wait a little bit. Okay, done. As we can see here, the template was already installed. Okay, let's change now the project default template to one of these templates that we installed. So this template I installed comes with 4 templates. So let's just choose one. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to create the automatic admin panels. So to do that we just come here and we do create UIs automatically, and in here we select the database diagram. The template is the project default template that we just selected before, so we click next, and in here we select the tables that we wish to create the correspondent panels. We want to override the files that will be created, so you can override this index file here. And below here we only select the business logic layer. Basically this is to tell the system where it should find the correspondent services or rules to create these panels to manage each individual table. So what we want is just to find the services in the business logic. So the presentation layer talks with the business logic, and is the business logic that talks with the database layer or the data access layer, and then the data access talks with the database layer. Okay, below here it's the user authentication. So in the previous tutorials we did all these steps until now, but we skip these steps here, which is the user permissions of the admin panel. So if you want to create a back office with some authentication, we need to make some selections here. So, but first, before we do some selections here, we need to be comfortable with the things they are here. So basically in here we have some user types and some activities. So usually we will go to the user admin panel where we can change all this, so I can explain to you, but just let me give you some heads up that the selections that we will do will be something like this, where all the users which will have the admin profile will gonna have access, write and delete permission, and all the users that have the regular profile will only have access permission. So basically, let's just go to our user management admin panel so we can understand this. So basically, in here in this panel, this is where we can create the users profiles, which are the user types. Currently we have these three. If we want more, we just need to do add user type, and then here it's where we can create our users. Currently I believe we have one default user. Yes, we have, which is the admin, and which it is related with the admin profile. Where do we see this? We see this here, where we can see the user admin has the admin profile. So this is where we can create in this user management tool our users internally here, just for testing. Then, because the system will give us the ability of doing this then directly from the back office that he'll create automatically. Okay, so next step is, after we have all the users profiles created, we need to make this selection here to define the permissions for each individual user type or user profile. Okay, after that we want this to be in the project root folder, yes, because we are creating the automatic admins in the root folder. And then we want users to allow internal users to listen and editing for. Okay, so in this case we just select the admin, which will have the write and delete permissions, and in here we choose the template, the non-authenticated template. Basically, this is when there are some files which are private, so that the user can only see after he logs in, after he authenticates himself. And there are some other files which are public, which is like the login, the registration, the forgot password. So this is like public pages. So these public pages will be in this template here, non-authenticated template. So this is just an example. Okay, and all the options, it's done. So just by selecting this, you create a back office with authentication. So we just do continue. Automatically the system will try to find the business logic services to manage all these panels and communicate with the correspondent database. So it did automatically. If you see any warnings in this white content here, it's because some of these services the systems couldn't find automatically, so you needed to fill these manually. So you needed then to find the correspondent service and fill all these fields here manually. So currently we don't have any warnings, so it found all the services. So we just need to do continue, and automatically the system will create all the correspondent files. As we can see, all of the files were created okay, so it's perfect. And we can see here that we have a bunch of files that the system created. So if we do preview projects, it should tell us that we don't have permission, and it will redirect us to the login page. So in this login page, so by default my browser it is filling up these fields, but in yours, if you didn't do this for the first time, it shouldn't happen. So you should see something like this that we are seeing now. And in this login page we can register new users, or we can do the forgot credentials. I was telling you that we had already a default user, so if we can enter with that default user, otherwise we can just register a new user, where we can put just username, which will be like example will be user, the password will be pass, the name will be user, an email will be could be user/user.com. This is just a dummy user, just to explain to you how does this work. So you can select here a bunch of questions and put the corresponding answers in case to execute then the forgot password. This is just an example. And we just register the user. Okay, user registered successfully. So now we can go back to the correspondent login and we can enter with the corresponding credentials. Okay, after we enter with the corresponding credentials, we see our admin panel, where we have here a menu with the for each individual tables, and then we have here the cards for each individual table too, and inside of each table we have the corresponding actions that we can do. We can list the corresponding tables, and then here we can edit the name, we can remove, we can save, we can view the details, edit the details of a specific school, we can add a new school, we can see the corresponding students or the corresponding teachers. If we want to see all the teachers or all the students, we just go back here and put students lists. So basically this gives us the ability of managing our own data, our own metadata in the database with a user-friendly back office. So in here, like example, I can change the school, I can see the corresponding school for this particular student, so I can add a new student here or here. So this gives me the ability of doing a bunch of things. Students, so I'm just doing some exploring of the back office, so you can see the things that you can do. You can sort, you can search, example. So I showed you this before better in the previous tutorial. So basically you can do a bunch of stuffs here. I can just see the students list based in the school ID, example. So basically I can do a bunch of things. And in here I have my correspondent user details. In this case it is a profile where I can change my correspondent user details. So basically I have here a bunch of other files that I can add later on in here if I wish to, which is I can have here another menu to manage all the users. If I wish to, I can remove the register link from the login page. So basically there is a bunch of options that I can do then granularly by going to each individual page, and basically that's it. So I can show you, like in here in the login, if you want to remove the register, you just need to remove this URL, or in this case, yes, you just need to remove this URL here, and automatically to not show the register link. So there is a bunch of things that you can do. Note that the user that we created through the register, it is a regular user, it's not an admin user. So how do I know this? So if I go to the manage users here, I can see that the user that I created, it is a regular type. So if I want to change it, I just need to come here and change it to admin, or I could go to the register page here, or to the correspondent block of that register page, which is in here, to the blocks, this block here, register. I could click here, or I could just come here and do this, and in the register here I needed to change to this user type to admin. So all the users I create to the register, it creates as an admin user. So don't forget that, because if you cannot in the diagram, in the back office, if you cannot make any changes, it's because this is a regular user and not an admin user. So currently with the user that we created, if we try to do any action in our admin panel, if we try to save it, it will say that we don't have permission for doing that because we are regular. But if we change it to an admin by going to the manage user panel here, if we change this to admin, now if we save this, it says already saved successfully. So it is working. So basically you can play with the multiple profiles according with the corresponding permissions and decide if you want register or not, which type of profiles will the registered users be related with. So So all this type of relations you can do through here or through the manage users. Additionally, in our dashboard, if you are admin user, you will see here the other links to manage the users. For doing that, let's just log in, log out, and log in again. So now if we go here, we can see that we have one more link called manage users, which allows us to add new users or to manage the existing users. So basically you have a full back office where you can do a bunch of stuffs. You can change if you don't like the default ones, but basically it's to manage the database diagram that we did before. Okay, another thing that I should show you, basically the system, additionally to these files, for each individual table he creates me a diagram, a folders diagram, which basically contains all these files here, relationships between all these files here. And the next tutorial I will explain you this, because all these pages here with the correspondent links and everything, by changing this diagram, automatically it will change this interface here. So it will change, I can change the name of this link, I can create new links, I can erase this link. So basically I can explain you that the schools list, which is this page here, the list has a schools list here, and the schools list has here a view all schools and has a relationship to view the relationship teacher, which is with here students and the teachers. So as a bunch of relationships, and automatically according with the diagram, with this diagram that we create, he automatically will define this interface here, where in here this is an editable table. But if I don't want this to be an editable table, I can just come here and basically by unselect these options here, it will stop to be an editable table and be a read-only table. Additionally, I can change the school ID, I can pass it after the name instead of being like this. I can have the name first and the school ID after. So basically this gives me the ability to do a bunch of things. So this is not the scope of this tutorial, but it's just a heads up that I'm giving you for the next tutorial. Okay, and I believe that's it. So thank you very much.